Hi, Andy XL back with another NFXL podcast previewing the 2026 NFL Draft. And in this one, I'm going to look at the pick options for the teams early in round one. So, what positions might they be looking at to use each pick on, and what players from those positions might be a good fit? Or could it be taking the best player available is the best option? Or would the team be wise to look to trade up or down from their current pick? So, let's kick off with the Las Vegas Raiders. For me, the Raiders' primary positional needs are at quarterback, offensive tackle, wide receiver, and defensive tackle. And the first overall pick, only taking a quarterback considered from this list in this draft. Hence why the assumption is that the Raiders take Fernando Mendoza here. But as I've made a pretty good case for in another piece, trading back has to be considered here. The Raiders have apparently had discussions with other teams regarding their trade and have named their price those teams need to pay to move up to take the first overall pick. Up to now, none of those teams have seen that price worth paying to get Mendoza, and unless they do, Mendoza is going to be a Raider. So that will be what happens with pick one, barring a trade happening. That's got to be the case. Pick two, New York Jets. The Jets could be one of the teams that have discussed taking the first pick off the Raiders to get Mendoza as a long-term answer to their quarterback question rather than the newly acquired Geno Smith. Edge and wide receiver are the other positions the Jets have to look to have a pressing need at. Arvell Reese as an edge rather than inside linebacker or David Bailey are options, but there are no pick two worthy wide receivers in this class for me. Reese or Bailey look likely to be the Jets' pick here unless they choose to go after Mendoza. Pick three, the Arizona Cardinals are another team who might consider trading up to get Mendoza, especially now Jacoby Brissett is after an extension. But if they do not, then their position of need looks to be the edge or an offensive tackle. If the Jets take one of Reese or Bailey, the Cardinals may well take the other, rather than Francis Maragoa as the leading tackle candidate. But they look to be the options for the Cardinals right now. Pick four, the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans are the first team not looking for a quarterback in this draft. Their needs look to be at guard, edge, or offensive tackle. If both Reese and Bailey are gone, then the O-line options are Maragoa or Spencer Fano. But this might be a pick too early to go in that direction in terms of the O-line. So if Reese and Bailey have gone, they might look for the best player available. That could be Jeremiah Love at running back. That could be a good option for them as an upgrade and succession plan for Tony Pollard. If not, a trade back could also be on the cards here. They could move back but still stay in the top 10 to 12 picks and likely be able to take one of those O linemen or maybe a wide receiver if they choose to go in that direction. But like I said, I'll come back to teams a bit later that might look to trade up. New York Giants sit at the fifth pick. Interior O lineman or cornerback look to be the Giants' need ahead of this pick. This looks too early to take Fano at guard and either Mansour Delaney or Jermo McCoy at cornerback, or indeed any defensive tackle that they might look for now that they've got rid of Sexy Dexy. He's been traded to the Bengals. This makes the Giants another trade back candidate unless they want to take the best player available route, where again Jeremiah Love at running back or Sonny Styles at inside linebacker come onto the page of reckoning, as it were. I mean, if it is Love at running back, then they've already got Cam Scattibo, who had a good rookie season before a devastating injury. As long as they're confident of him coming back from injury, they've also got Tyrone Tracy. So adding Love to that mix seems an overkill, but who knows? He's that good. They might decide, yep, let's take him. Six, pick six belongs to the Cleveland Browns. And here are the next team that might have Mendoza on their mind. But trading up from here could be costly. So, assuming the Browns do not go down that route, then wide receiver or edge might be the positions they look for. Reuben Bain at edge, Carnell Tate or Jordan Tyson at wide receiver. Tyson had a good workout day the other day, and that's going to boost his draft stock quite possibly. So, he's now competing with Carnell Tate to be the wide receiver one out of this class, quite possibly, as the two outside guys anyway. Um, so those could be the options. Bain, Tate, and Tyson could be the options that the Browns look at here. Pick seven belongs to the Washington Commanders. Wide receiver, inside interior O lineman, and running back, or indeed the secondary, could all be on the cards for the Commanders here. Carnell Tate, Mackay Lemon in the slot, and as I've mentioned, Jordan Tyson. Could all be viable wide receiver options for the Commanders here. Spencer Fano looks to be the best interior O lineman they could look at with this pick. While despite having added two free agent running backs in Rashad White and Jerome Ford, who were both pretty much they were the backups on the other teams last year, Jeremiah Love would still be a big upgrade at anything they currently have on their roster, even though they've got seventh rounder Corey Crossley Merritt who did well last year. So it'd make a crowded running back room. But Love's that good. I think they've got to have a look at him. Finally, Mansour Delaney and Jermod McCoy are the cornerback options, or Caleb Downs at safety as another secondary candidate the Commanders could look at here. So with that, so 8 possibilities. For me, it looks likely the Commanders stick at 7 and take one of them. New Orleans Saints have pick 8. So wide receiver, edge, and cornerback I have as then primary needs. So as with the Commanders, they are likely to take the pick, and names mentioned in regard to Washington at those positions are also likely to be the ones the Saints look at here. So we're looking at, Tyson, Lemon, Tate at wide receiver, McCoy or Delaney at quarterback, and then just seeing who the best edge guy left is if they decide to go in that route. So on to pick 9, which belongs to the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, the Chiefs have the same positional needs positionally as the Saints, plus maybe at safety. So the same list applies again here, unless the Chiefs want to trade up to get ahead of Cleveland, Washington, and New Orleans to beat them to the guy they want. So the Titans and Giants might be on the Chiefs' contact lists, as a move up could suit the Chiefs and could also allow the teams they take the earlier pick to stay in the top 10. So the Chiefs might be looking for a small trade up here, unless they're happy to wait and just take the next best after those guys have gone. Pick 10. New York Giants now have the second pick in the top 10, having traded Dexter Lawrence to the Bengals. So they've taken this pick off the Bengals, giving them 2 in the top 10, which does open up their options considerably, including trading one of them away to gain further draft capital. And that 5th pick now looks distinctly tradable unless they take Love or Styles with there. But pick 10 looks a great spot to get the cornerback or interior O lineman they need. So I think that Dexter Lawrence trade works really well for them, especially if they draft a replacement for him at pick 37 early in round 2. But I see them using pick 10, but maybe pick 5 is the one they might look to trade away, unless, like I say, they want to take a top level candidate right there, regardless of their own needs. Pick 11 then, the Miami Dolphins. With the Dolphins pretty much having ripped it up and starting all over again, they have needs pretty much everywhere, but wide receiver, edge, and the secondary may all vie for precedence with this, their first pick of this draft. So Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, and Mackay Lemon, again, come onto the table here for the Dolphins, if they're still available. Either of the Miami Hurricane Edge guys would be popular moves with the fan base, but they may be lucky to see Ruben Bain fall to them here. And this may be a bit too early to take the other one, Akeem Mesidor. In the secondary, cornerbacks Mansour Delaney and Jermod McCoy are the options here, whilst if safety Caleb Downs has not been taken, he could be a potential steal at pick 11. I would anticipate that one of these 8 candidates gets to go to Miami following this pick. They've got so many options there, it's unlikely they're going to trade out of this position. Pick 12 belongs to the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have this pick and pick 20. So putting those picks together to move up to pick 4 or 5, to try and get them, 5, they're probably not unlikely to trade with the Giants because it's within the division. But pick 4 with Tennessee, if they wanted that pick to get ahead of the Giants and take somebody, that could be an option for them here. Even though they've re-signed Javonte Williams, moving up to get Jeremiah Love would be the type of splash move Jerry Jones has made before. Other options for them, if they moved up, could be Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles, if one or both are available at the 4th pick that's currently owned by Tennessee. Those would be the only guys I think might tempt the Cowboys to make a move by trading up. If they stick with 12, they can pray one of the 3 mentioned above somehow slides to them, or maybe Ruben Bain. But if they stick at 12 and none of Love, Reese, Styles or Bain are available, then even a trade back could be on the cards. Everything's on the table here with the Cowboys. edge, inside linebacker, a running back, and possibly cornerback being top of their to-do list, the end of round 1 from pick 21 onwards might be a much better spot to fill 2 of those needs, following covering one of them with pick 21. So they've got pick 21 themselves. So yeah, pick 22 onwards then. Los Angeles Rams sit at 13. A slot receiver and their O-line look to be the priorities for the Rams with this pick. Mackay Lemon, as the best slot receiver in this class, would be the one they would surely give serious consideration to. Alternatively, Francis Maragoa, Spencer Fano, Oliver Vega Ione, or Monroe Freeling may be on their radar to bolster the O-line. One of those 5 could well land on one of the most complete rosters in the league if the Rams do take one of them, which I think are probably the most likely options right now. 14 belongs to the Baltimore Ravens. Again, interior O-line and outside wide receiver may be top of the Ravens' to-do list ahead of this pick. Oh, excuse me. Quick drink. So with the interior O-line and a wide receiver, that makes Spencer Fano and Vega Ione could be in line for this pick if the Ravens go interior O-lineman. If they want to go outside wide receiver, they would love either Carnell Tate or Jordan Tyson to drop to them here. They seem likely to take this pick rather than seek any trade and take one of those 4, I suspect. Tampa Bay own pick 15. Edge, cornerback, and inside linebacker top the Bucs needs ahead of this draft. This does not look a good spot to take an inside linebacker, so edge or cornerback might be the likely positions the Bucs look at here. Again, Ruben Bain, Aki Messidor, or even Keldrick Falk may be the best edge options to consider. At cornerback, if Delane and McCoy are gone by this pick, Colton Hood might be the one they look at. Pick 16, New York Jets, second time round for them in this draft. They were the first team to own 2 in the top half of the first round, but now the New York compatriots, the Giants, have stolen their glory in that regard. If I'm right about them going edge at pick 2, then the Jets, that is, then quarterback or wide receiver might be their focus here. I personally think this is way too early to take the quarterbacks 2 in this class, but Ty Simpson would be the one they would have to make a call on in that regard. If they go wide receiver, then whoever is left out of Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, and Mackay Lemon, or maybe Omar Cooper, Casey Concepcion, or Denzel Boston, if the first 3 have gone. They may be able to trade back into the mid-20s and still get Cooper, Concepcion, or Boston if that is what they are left to choose from. So I'm not ruling out a trade back by the Jets here if they've missed out on the 3 primary wide receivers. 17 belongs to the Detroit Lions. Edge or left tackle likely to be the focus for the Lions with this first pick of the draft for them. So again, same names, Akeem Messidor, but then Keldrick Falk, TJ Parker, and Cassius Howell come into the equation as the Lions are looking to address their need for a partner for Aidan Hutchinson off the edge. In terms of left tackle options, Monroe Freeling is one they must give serious consideration to. Then Kaden Proctor or Caleb Lomu are alternative options for them to consider. But they're likely to use the pick, I suspect. Pick 18 belongs to the Minnesota Vikings, who are looking for a defensive tackle, center, and safety at the top of their needs list. The Vikings could be a candidate to look to trade back here, as there's not a good spot for any of those 3 positions. Too early for a defensive tackle and certainly for a centre. So if you do not particularly like the safeties, Dylan Thieneman or Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, they could well look to trade back here. Best spot for them to get back to might be between picks of 28 and 32, right at the tail end of round 1, when they might be able to get a safety or a defensive tackle they're looking for. So definite trade back option for Minnesota there. 19 belongs to the Carolina Panthers. Like the Vikings, this is too early for Carolina to look for the defensive tackle or centre they need, unless they really love one of the 5 defensive tackles grouped around the end of round 1, start of round 2 area that are currently on my big board. If they do not, then tight end or wide receiver could be on the cards here. They've been saying there's no reason they would not go wide receiver with their first round pick for the 3rd consecutive year. If so, Omar Cooper, KC Concepcion, or Denzel Boston might be the most likely candidates at pick 19. But they are the first team I have flagged up with a tight end need, so Kenyon Sadiq has to be a strong candidate to get this pick from the Panthers. Pick 20 belongs to the Dallas Cowboys. I said 21 earlier, mistake by me, corrected now. So the Dallas Cowboys close out the first 20 picks. Let's assume the Cowboys did not parlay their two first-round picks to move up into the top 5 of this draft, and they still own this pick, having got edge. Indeed, they may even have traded back from pick 12. So in that case, this would be their first pick in that case. Even if they have not traded back, edge, inside linebacker, running back, and cornerback are on their to-do list unless they want to went edge at pick 12. All gets very complicated at this stage because, like I said, the Cowboys have multiple options available than what they did with that earlier pick. But if this was their first pick, then edge guys like Keldrick Falk, Cassius Howell, or TJ Parker might well be on their watch list for this pick. If they've already got their edge guy or they don't go edge, inside linebacker and running back look unlikely at pick 20. So a cornerback of the ilk of Colton Hood, Avian Terrell, or Chris Johnson might be ones they look at. So that's how I see the options for teams in the first 20 picks of the upcoming draft. So I'm going to come back and look at the tail end, which is a bit more speculative. And from pick 21 onwards is where you've seen a large amount of trade action, trading picks away from teams wanting to move up into round 1 or quite happy to move out of round 1. So they're going to be increasing options from 21 onwards. But I'll come back with that piece tomorrow. See you soon.